What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Okay, this is Robert Reich. He's going to be talking about the 2026 midterm election. So this is a little video clips, about 5 minutes. We're going to go over this. I'll break it down. We'll talk a little bit about some of the different things that they talk about on here. But are Republicans in trouble, basically, is Robert Reich. He's basically saying that Republicans are going to be in trouble in the 2026 midterm election. Historically speaking, the party in power usually loses in the House, or they'll lose some seats in the House, and generally the opposition party will take over control of at least the House during that midterm election. So let's go ahead and take a look and a listen to what Robert Reich has to say. Now, he is a professor, I believe, at Stanford. I don't know if he's still a professor, but he was in the past. And he was a labor secretary during the time President Clinton was president. Okay, let's go ahead and play a clip. Here we go.
Here's bad news for Trump and Republicans ahead of the 2026 midterms. Remember when he was so excited about the so-called
Big Beautiful Bill, Big Beautiful Bill, Big Beautiful Bill?
Well, now that Republicans have passed it, it's so unpopular that he doesn't even want to call it that anymore.
I'm not going to use the term Great, Big, Beautiful. That was good for getting it approved, but it's not good for explaining to people what it's all about.
So what is...
Yeah, and he's going to explain it here, but there was no real explanation on what this Big Beautiful Bill did other than cut taxes, or at least keep those taxes. The taxes were already cut, but keep that in place for forever, basically. So wealthier people will be able to see the tax breaks, because back in 2017, when President Trump was president the first time, he had these tax breaks for wealthy people, and they had a sunset date, and that sunset date was in 2025. And so a big part of the Big Beautiful Bill was to keep those tax cuts in place. And so that's what they did. Not only did they keep it in place, but now there's no expiration date. There was an expiration date prior. There's no expiration date now. And so now it's permanent. And one of the big issues that people had when they start talking about tax cuts, you heard the no tax on Social Security, which that was never implemented. It's a tax deduction for some people receiving Social Security benefits. You also heard no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. But a lot of people didn't read the fine print. And the fine print is this is only going to last until 2028. And so they have expiration dates. So when it comes to tax breaks for the working class, middle class, the poor, they have an expiration date. But when it comes to the wealthy, there's no expiration date on those tax cuts.
Is it all about? It's a big, ugly nightmare that gives tax cuts to the super rich while the rest of us get shafted. Remember this when you vote in the 2026 midterms. First, your health care costs will go way up. To pay for its tax cuts for the rich, Trump and Republicans' big, ugly bill makes the largest cuts to health care in U.S. history, kicking about 15 million Americans off their health coverage over the next decade. About half of those people would lose Medicaid coverage. The rest would be priced out of Affordable Care Act plans. That's because...
And that's what we're hearing about right now with the Affordable Care Act. And so in January, we'll see the effects of this Big Beautiful Bill, because Congress didn't come together and extend these tax credits. And so you're going to have some people that are going to have to pay more in premiums, healthcare premiums. And so when those healthcare premiums skyrocket, you're going to have some people that are going to say, it's not worth it. I'm not going to have healthcare coverage anymore. And those people are the people that you're going to see, if they get injured or they get sick, they're going to have to go to the emergency room, which is going to bog down the emergency rooms all over the U.S. And then you'll have some people that'll say, okay, well, I have to, I need to see the doctor, so I'm going to go ahead and pay this, so pay the increase. However, this is going to impact their budget. And so where they might say, I want to go to the movies today, or I want to go to a restaurant and things like that, they might tighten up their spending, because now they have to spend more on healthcare coverage. Tightening up your spending could hurt our economy overall. If you have a lot of people doing the same thing, that means if you have a lot of people not going to the movie theaters anymore, guess what? That means these movie theaters are going to have to lay people off, and they might go under. They might not be able to survive this. Restaurants, the same thing. If you're not going to the restaurants like you used to go to the restaurants, because now you have to spend more money in healthcare coverage for basically the same coverage, then guess what? You're going to have impacts in the economy. And so it's not just the people who qualify under HCA, it's all of us. And then on top of that, when it comes to the pool of people who are, receiving healthcare coverage, if you have less people receiving coverage, like usually you want to balance. So if you're an insurance company, you want to balance. You want people who never go to the doctor paying into their premiums, and then you're going to have some people who go to the doctor often paying into their premiums. Well, the people who never go to the doctors, what are they going to say? They're going to say, you know what, I'm not going to pay for these increased premiums because I never go to the doctor. And so they come off the list, and now you just have people that go to the doctor often. So guess what happens? The insurance company looks at that and says, okay, we don't have this offset anymore. We don't have these people who never go to the doctor paying their premiums. And so now we're going to have to raise premiums on everyone else that's left because we don't have these people here that don't go to the doctors at all. And so that could impact all of us. And so it might not just be HCA, it could be us as well, because now our premiums can go up just because we might go to the doctor maybe once or twice per year, but we go to the doctor, whereas these other people never went. And if you never go to the doctors and you're paying your premiums, the insurance companies are winning out on that because they're not paying anything for you to, see the doctor, but they're receiving all those premiums every month.
The big ugly bill lets Affordable Care Act subsidies expire. Without them, individuals will see their premiums skyrocket, some by more than $1,200 a year.
Premium costs, on average, will more than double next year if the subsidies expire.
But even if you're not dependent on Medicaid or ACA coverage, your health insurance could cost more. Why? As more people drop their insurance because it's too expensive, insurers will jack up premiums on everyone else who still has a plan. And with federal funding drying up, hospitals would be faced with steep financial losses. They may stick you with a higher bill to make up the difference. And it's estimated that hundreds of thousands of jobs will disappear, and some hospitals may be forced to close entirely. The second way Trump and Republicans' big ugly bill makes your life worse, drastic cuts to food stamps, will hurt all of us.
It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it.
Trump and Republicans made the largest cut in history to SNAP, better known as food stamps. They are taking food away from about 4 million Americans, including about 1 million children. This is happening as a growing number of Americans are going hungry, while food banks across the country struggle to meet the surge in demand. Independent grocers get a lot of their revenue from customers using food stamps, especially in rural areas. Without that income, they could be forced to raise prices, lay off employees, or shutter entirely. Even if you don't use food stamps yourself, your grocery store might be affected. More Americans going hungry also means less income for the farmers who grow our food. It's been estimated they could lose nearly $24 billion over the next 10 years. That could push smaller, locally owned farms out of business. As with healthcare, food stamps are good for the entire economy, supporting nearly 400,000 jobs. Third, your energy costs will go up. The big ugly bill gives massive handouts to big oil while cutting clean energy investments.
We don't allow windmills, and we don't want the solar panels.
Moving away from cheaper renewables means that within 10 years, the average household will be spending an extra $170 a year on energy. Remember when Trump promised to lower costs on day one? Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of jobs are expected to be lost due to the rollback of clean energy investments. Billions in clean energy projects are already being canceled, including projects that were nearly completed.
Trump administration has halted work on Revolution Wind, which was set to power 350,000 homes in the Ocean State and Connecticut. The project is already 80% complete.
Fourth, it turns America into a police state. The big ugly bill funnels $170 billion toward immigration enforcement and makes ICE the highest funded law enforcement agency in the country. It funds detention centers run by private prison corporations, hires more masked ICE agents, and bankrolls the completion of Trump's border wall. It creates a surveillance state of license plate readers, spy towers, and drones that can be deployed against anyone, including U.S. citizens. Costlier health care, millions going hungry, soaring energy bills, a constant police state. It's all thanks to Trump and Republicans and their big, ugly bill. When November 2026 comes, remember who's responsible for making all of our lives worse.
Okay, so that was an interesting clip. I want you guys to let me know in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree? And why do you agree and why you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.